Okay, so today we're going to be replacing one of the fans, or both actually, on this Acer Preditor Triton 500 SE. To begin with, we need to remove this bottom cover. So there's going to be 9 screws here, and we're going to keep track of them in the order that they're removed. Go check on your data recap, please. Here's that one. There's going to be 9 total on here. We need to try to keep them the same place that they were. Alright, so now we should be able to remove the bottom cover. Should just be like some clips that will hold this one inside of here. So normally I will try to use my fingernail so it does not damage, but it's not quite doing so. We're going to use this one right here to just gently open without damaging it. I've got one. Like so. I did not have to use too much force. They came off easily. And then now we have the 2 fans here and here. These are 2. This one is together, but this makes it kind of look like a separate. But first things first, we need to remove this one here and disconnect the battery, because we will be having to replace the motherboard on this one, because even though it kind of looks like you can just remove a couple ones here, there's also one screw going up through the motherboard to help secure it, along with a few clips. So
unscrew the battery.
Remove the connector first. We're going to use just a Phillips one here to unscrew the battery, as this will make it safer to work on the motherboard. So remove that and try to keep the screws where they're at. Okay, now for the motherboard. There's a few connectors that have to be removed. There's one here, here, and these all just lift up the tabs when they pull out easily. You should not have to force them. There's a couple of speaker connectors that just need to be disconnected. And then every one of these screws which has a triangle here will be to remove the motherboard. There's probably going to be more on the other side of this little sheet here. It's just like a thermal one. So we need to carefully remove that to expose the rest of it. then expose the rest of the motherboard screws. So this one, that can be set aside. So now all of the screws for the motherboard will need to be removed. We'll have to disconnect this display ribbon cable. For that one, there's going to be a little tiny black bar that pulls up first, and the connector should easily come out of place, like so. Check, make sure we did not miss any. I'm going to need to unplug. I'm going to save some of these screws from the fan so they do not all come out when you're done here. And let's see, and everything in here now. So we have that. Seems like some of the motherboard screws are already missing on this one, so somebody's definitely been in here before. We have to, so there's going to be one more screw just under here that is holding it. Just going to be very gentle when we remove it, because there's another connector right here and the battery holding it together. So we're going to set that one aside. Should be all the motherboard screws, and then there's also a little bit of dust, so we're going to remove that. So the big trick with this one is there's a couple screws right here and here, as you can see on the fan, and if you try to pull it from underneath, it will not allow you to remove it. So what we do first is we removed all the screws to the motherboard first, and now we're going to remove these little screws from the underside of here.
Usually, how much is it to repair it?
Repairs can go from $89 and up, depending on what needs to be done. But I'll do the price and then depending on what you want.
And there's another one on this fan here. Then it should just come out nicely. There's a couple of little clips, like one right here, that will keep it in place. So do not force any of these, because the little connector is what is keeping it in place. We got that. Should be another one. Oh, there's a tiny little screw is hiding on the bottom of here. So now we remove that screw there, and this fan should come out. Right here, here's the fan. We will disconnect the connector from here. That connector pulls out, so we set that aside. And I'm just going to clean it a little bit before we put the new fan in. And then we should have the next fan here. And we'll never hear that dang sound again.
I'll work on it and I'll let you know when it's done. You can work on that. Okay? You're welcome.
Here's the new fan. It's going to go inside the computer, like so. You can see where the little screws have to go inside of there. So there's a little spots for them because it comes in from underneath. So we need to make sure it lines up with all the little clips inside of here. Now we simply plug in the fan connector right here. And you will switch over to the underside where we can start putting the screws back together. So this one goes first, and that will help to secure the fan where it needs to go. Clip is not holding anymore, so you need to bend it back so it will hold it securely. And then this one, you need to put it back inside there. And now for the other fan on the other side. As you can see, this one, when I try to spin it with my finger, is not running smoothly like the other one here. It's very stiff and will produce a very loud grinding noise when the system is powered on. So now we have to try to remove the other fan inside of here. And so there's a few additional screws that will allow me to remove the fan. Again, we just kind of gently undo these little clips right here so that the fan will come out easily. We do not need to fight with anything here. Disconnect it, set it aside because that's the dirty one. And then we will do the same thing right here off to the side, of course, so the rest of the laptop does not get dust inside of it. And now we're ready to put the second fan inside of here. So here's the second one, nice and brand new. It needs to go this way down into the computer. We need to mind some of these little connectors and we put it inside. Again, we'll plug it in. There we go, all connected. Let's make sure both of these fan connectors are plugged in as far as they can go, because once we put it back together it'll be very annoying to have to take it back apart. Oh, here's some more dust to clear out. And now we're going to put the rest of the screws back inside for that fan.
No, but it must be admitted that just like yesterday, our souls feel like finding.
So now these two are going to go back in and we will be done with the fan screws, and then we can move back into plugging everything in the motherboard back together and putting the motherboard back inside. There's still a little more dust on the bottom side, so I'm going to just gently brush that away. We need to be gentle, otherwise we will break the blades off of the fan, and that will not be very good in the end. So I need to make sure everything is free of obstructions here. Okay, those polar pins. Okay, so that lines up for that connector right there. So we need to try, so now is the tricky part. We need to plug all of these plugs back in how they were when we first took it apart. And the tricky one is going to be right here, because we need to try to get it into this little hole to connect the little trackpad or whatever inside of there. Maybe removing the speakers will make this a little simpler, so we can try to line it up. And I'm just going to use a little pair of tweezers to try to grab that little connector. Try to pull it inside of there. Still not wanting to do it. Okay, there, with a little clever maneuvering, we got it back. So let's connect that one before we lose it. So it's very tricky to get this little connector back inside of here. Should almost have it inside. There we go. So we got it inside there now. We need to connect everything else. This wireless card here. I'm just going to remove it for now to make it a little easier. And we need to make sure we have all of the connectors on the other side here, because there's going to be quite a few. That one's for the battery. This should all set very nice and flat, so now we can start reconnecting some of these other ones here. One will be for the trackpad, one will be for the inbuilt keyboard. There's another one inside of here that needs to be plugged in. We got all of those. Now we plug the speakers back into here. So we just put them inside the same way they were. The right speaker, and then the left speaker. And they simply plug in with a nice little connector right inside of there, and then inside of the other one right here to plug in inside of there. So those are all plugged in. And now before we put this one back in, we need to make sure we put all the screws back into place. There's going to be some screws that adhere the fans to the case. And we only put these inside the ones with the arrows because the ones that are not, the bottom cover will be, so otherwise the next ones will not go inside of them. So that is something to keep in mind as you're doing this. Need to make sure this is going to line up. Okay, so here's the problem. This little connector is still under here for the display. So that as well needs to come back up to the top. So these will all make sure the fans are very secure and tight. And then again, following the little arrows to tell us where we need to put these motherboard screws back inside of there. Should be a couple more. Be one right here. And then the last screw to be a little spot for it, I think here.
There's one.
There's going to be one last one with the arrow on here.
One what? Screw?
Yeah. There's
Trying
just one
to
last.
remove it?
No, one last one on the motherboard. That's pretty bad.
Did you finish the replacement?
So we need to put this one of them inside. So one of these needs to go. All the ones from the motherboard go in here. These ones do not because that's from the bottom cover.
Okay.
So this one needs to go somewhere. Cannot find. Unless this was from somewhere else. Otherwise, we have this one, this one, this one, and those are all.
So, no.
Nope, there's no others, so that will be
Is there one in here?
Nope, that's from the bottom cover.
Okay.
So that's going to be that. So now this thing here, which was covering it, is going to go back inside of here. Where was it? Which way was it? It's going to go this way,
There's a hole in there, imagine.
Like so. And now since this Wi-Fi card came out with it, we need to also reinstall that. So that's just going to be simple. Put
This is how the cables go.
Yep. The white one is for numero uno. Numero dos is black. So for your main and auxiliary, there'll be 1 and 2. So the easiest is going to be to come down here and connect it according to the little arrows that show you which color you need to connect first. You just gently snap them in. Try not to use too much force or it will break that little connector.
This is connected.
And I'm just going to try to angle it so the Wi-Fi will go inside of there. Oh, looks like one of them came loose, but we will reattach it once we put our screw in. So now we'll reattach our screw here. And then this little one is going to just go right on top of it. Again, it's very hard because we have to not force it. Let's just try it putting one and the other. So that is that, and now the last thing is going to be the battery. As you can see, I left these screws inside of here, so we remember where to put it. I need to connect this one as well. That goes the stick there. And then for this one, I'm going to gently lay it down. This needs to be out of the way for that one. Oh shit. And yes, I can put my hand in it. Need to tuck it inside so the little post will show up. Like so. Now you can plug the battery back in. It goes inside this way. And if we cannot get it that way, we can also remove try putting it in like this, making the connection first, and then we can try putting the battery in place. So that one there, this one here, this little piece of black tape.
The battery needs to be in first. So remove the screws, get the screws off.
I'll angle it. I see now. These little pieces of tape go over there, and now we can install our 2 screws for the battery. Our second screw. And now before we put everything together, we're going to turn it on and see if all the fans are working and if the noise is gone. So turn it on here. As So we can see the fans are working now. The computer is lighting up. There was a boot logo just before. We might take it a few times since we just put the battery in. So. Why is it not? Unless there's an EC control in this thing as well. Where's the charger for this one?
No, we don't have a charger.
Oh, we don't?
No.
Okay. Oh, the fan is spinning now. The system is trying to power on.
Power off and then power back on.
And that's what the EC controller takes it a few times to finally boot up. So that one is running. So now that we know it's running and it's no longer making any noise, we can just put this cover back on. There will be some clips around here that will just need to be gently put into place. So we just very carefully, just gentle pressure so it does not break it, to put the clips back down. And when we're done, the screws will go back in place. So one on the top and all the sides. And this will be easiest because we save which way all the screws went in earlier. So now we need a star-shaped screwdriver to put all of them in place. You probably will work on something else while you wait.
He's watching our good show until the next screw.
And then once we put this all on, that will be it for this video. So that is how you replace the fans on a Triton 500 SE.